if you want to succeed and if you want to do great in this sport, you have to be willing to come into the sport with an open mind. Don't ever act like you know it all. Otherwise, right there and then, you might as well just quit.
Right.
You would never grow. You would never improve.
Hey everybody, welcome to episode 64 of It's Just Bodybuilding. We're actually recording nighttime here. Dusty Hanshaw, myself, Big Ron Partlow. It is the eve of the U.S. election, and it's just bodybuilding.
We're here. We're 2 days in a row.
Now, are you USA colors on purpose?
It just naturally happened. It just because I wanted to wear a red hat, so I wanted to tie it in.
Yeah,
and there it was. I got my Superman colors, so hopefully it's a Superman kind of night. You know.
Yeah, no, man. We're very excited. We have an Olympia bodybuilder on tonight, Akim Willians.
Super freak.
Absolutely.
Literally one of the freakiest humans I've ever seen.
Yeah. He's one of those guys. I'm looking forward to it. Akim's a great guy. I've had the fortune of training with him and hanging with him, and he's definitely going to have some interesting stories because I know what it takes to look like that. So
I don't, because I've never looked like it, but I've known people that look like
I'm saying,
that.
Technically, I've read and watched the video. So
off. My dogs are getting they're a little excited because the election's happening. They're supposed to be at the dog park right now. I swear my dogs they have watches. I don't know.
So I have questions.
Yes.
So both of your dogs are home right now.
Yes.
But I thought only one graduated.
No, they both graduated.
Did I miss a post? See, now
I saved it. I'm saving Harvey's because I'm getting I was getting a lot of questions about what they were like when they got home. So I wanted to kind of get a week, get used to it, and now they're back. So everything's on point. They're on fire.
Okay. It's very important. I find myself caring about this stuff.
Well, how could you not? Dogs.
I know. Must love dogs. Okay, well, let's bring on Akim Williams to get rolling. Olympia, man, it's be a big year for him. We got him. I'm sure Scott's got him hanging out.
It's in the wings. There we go.
Akim Williams, welcome to It's Just Bodybuilding, man.
What's up, man? You want me to move the camera sideways? Am I good?
You're good.
That's all good. What do you want to do, man? Want to show off the hoodie? Get the branding in there?
you got to do what you got to do, man.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we got it, Yeah, man, just really happy to have you on. Congratulations on, sealing the deal there at the big win. How did you feel going into that show?
Well, it was a little bit of a last-minute show for me, though. The original plan was to, after the Arnold, was to do the St. Louis Pro. That got canceled. And then I was trying to prep for New York, but all the gyms were closed out here, and we weren't sure what was going to happen in New York. So, me and my coach, Oscar, we didn't want to go stop prepping, and then everything got canceled. So we were in limbo about everything. And then about, I think it was like 5 weeks out, I found out that the New York Pro was being switched to Florida. So I didn't have much time to prep for that show. So I'm like, you know what? Only other show I wanted to do was the one in Boston. That got canceled. And by the time I looked at it, I think I had like about 7.5 weeks, almost 8 weeks to prep for Chicago. So, me and Oscar sat down and we spoke about it. And he asked me how I feel mentally and can we do this in 8 weeks or 7.5 weeks? And I'm like, you know what? I have a little bit of a break. I feel good. Let's do it. So about 8 weeks we prepped for Chicago. We turned out to be a very good prep because it didn't drag at all, it just allowed me to stay focused. And I kind of went in there with that mindset of treating it like it was the playoffs. Either you win or you go home.
Right. True. Yeah.
That's the way we attacked that contest prep.
Now, what'd you have to do different with that time? I mean, I saw you before the prep, and you were in great shape, but I assume you had to kind of kick it up a notch to get as diced as you were, because you brought it as good as you have. I mean, I thought it was damn good, especially in that timeline.
Yeah. We definitely for the first, I think about 3-4 weeks, we went 0 carbs and a lot of cardio. Yeah.
Just get off to a fast start, eh?
Yeah. That was brutal, man. Doing all that cardio and 0 carbs for like 4 weeks, it was hard, but it allowed me to gauge where I should be, and allowed me to get lean pretty fast. So by the time I was like 5 weeks out, I think I was like 5 or 4 weeks out, Oscar took a look at me and just like, you know what? Give me a week and we could go into California and do California. And I'm like, you know what? I don't want to rush it. I feel good about this prep. Let's just stick with the plan and go to Chicago. But there was a possibility that we could have went to California, but I'm happy we didn't. I'm happy we stuck to Chicago and went there,
What you said you sat down with Oscar and he asked you how you felt. The first thing you said was that he asked you how you felt mentally. And that tells me a lot about him as a coach, obviously, and your relationship with him. So just give people a little bit of insight into, people think coaches are all about, grams of carbs and how many sets of curls, and there's so much more to it on that level. What's your relationship with Oscar like?
Oh, man, it's definitely different from any other coaches I've worked with, which I haven't worked with a lot, from Dave Palumbo, which I started with. Then I went out with the guys out in Kuwait, Oxygen Gym. I prepped with Ahmed out there. And then coming back to the United States, I started training with Oscar. So I really only had like 3 coaches throughout my whole career. And I would say out of all 3 of them, Oscar is definitely the most hands-on. Mm-hmm. Like I'm talking about a week and a half out from the show, he literally was sleeping on my couch every night, making sure I got up, do the cardio, do what I needed to do and stuff like that. So not many coaches would do something like that, man. And I'm definitely blessed to have somebody in my life like that that's willing to go the distance and,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. How many years you guys been working together now?
We started right after I got back from Kuwait. So 2017 we started.
Now, you drive to his house to train, right? Like, what's the situation right now with everything?
That in itself is a whole nother episode, man.
Yeah, no, I need to hear this because you're like in this epicenter of the gym's close. The area you live in was really rough. I'm out here where our gym's been open for 4 months, and there's places where you guys like you had to try to make it work, and I know it's a long commute for you, right?
Oh man, when the pandemic first hit, everything was closed, and the only way I could get to work out was go all the way to the city with Oscar's gym. So I was driving roughly about 4 hours a day, just going to the gym. And I'm talking about not even just the hours, also like the tolls. I don't know if you're familiar with New York.
Yeah.
But driving is one thing, but when you're paying like $16 in toll bridge, another $9 in another toll, and another $9, it adds up really fast. And before I know it, I was paying at least like $500 in tolls a month, man.
Oh shit!
So it's a commitment. It's definitely a commitment, and it's a testament to how much I want to succeed.
Now, what is the how do I put this? Like, what brings you home every night? Like if I had to drive 4 hours to train, I'd probably just stay on that end. So you obviously have something very important that you're coming home to. So what's on this end of it?
My house.
Yeah. So you got your stuff, right? So it's really important that you don't want to go stay in an Airbnb for 2 months or anything like that.
Well, that in itself would definitely be being in New York. That'll definitely be expensive, man.
Yeah. Oh man. So yeah, that's a lot of traffic. So I know I've seen videos of you training at Oscar's. You got a leg press there, you got squat racks and stuff. So how are the workouts? You just keep it simple and just go hard?
Well, I would say, like you said, what brings you back is the fact that when you go train with Oscar, you definitely going to come out there like you accomplished something.
Right.
So you feel like, the journey is worth the results of what you're going to get, what you're going to accomplish after you finish training.
Did you now is your volume? I mean, I remember obviously we all saw the videos with Kai and stuff back in the day. Is it like that or what? What's an average workout look like? Because I mean, there's no shortage of weight or volume from what I've seen.
Yeah, definitely a combination of nothing has really changed. Sometimes I have to realize my limit, because sometimes if I don't, he'll keep going, and so I gotta let him know, like, dude, like we gotta kind of pull back a little bit.
Right.
I'm the one recovering.
That's good though, because that's got to be difficult to do. I mean, I know in the past I've worked with people, and when someone has your back like Oscar does, and he's got your best interest at heart, there's that line of I think when you're younger, particularly, you would just keep going. Yeah. Like, I'm either going to die here or finish. But saying a word isn't going to happen. And then you get more experienced and you truly know your body, and you're like, hey, any further and we're going the wrong direction.
Exactly. Very true. Very true.
Yeah. That's a tough line. I can't imagine what it was like the first time you had to be like, so we should be done soon.
Yeah, he pushes you, man. What was said between you guys when you won the show? Like, do you remember how that went? Like, how is he with that?
Well, I mean, between 2018, 2019, we came really close. We took a whole bunch of second places. So that kind of left a damper on our spirits, coming so close and picking up second places after second places after second places. So it just felt amazing to be in that winning circle. I think not only for me, but for him also. Because it's been a while, since he's actually take a bodybuilder under his wing, since Kai, and actually give him that type of attention in the level that I'm at right now, to succeed. So, that also actually really felt good for him and also for me. So just put us in that winning circle once again,
I think that
he missed being that, because when he was at Kai, when Kai trained with him, he was getting wins after wins,
I think this is a great I would see this as a great opportunity for you guys to feel sort of vindicated in your efforts, and that huge boost of confidence can't be a bad thing.
No,
especially going into the Olympia. So what do you see for yourself going into this show when you I mean, I know it's all about the physique, right? What do you see for yourself? Like, what do you want to bring?
Well, I mean, there are a few areas, I definitely still have to work on, where I feel like, it exposed me a lot, especially from behind. I definitely got to tighten up my lower back and stuff like that. So the goal is to, just bring the same type of size, the same type of muscle that I have, the same type of fullness I did for the night show of Chicago, but, just 5 or 15% sharper, especially from behind. And I think if I could accomplish that with a great presentation and showing all my strong points, I could definitely be in the mix, that top 5, top 6 mix. I'm not going to say I'm going there. I just want to be in that mix. I just want to get that first call out, and then everything else will settle itself.
What changes took place? Because obviously you guys were in speed gear to get in shape. How have you backed? This is something I deal with clients. So I think it's a good thing for the listeners to hear, is when you're essentially in shape, almost perfect. You probably a week or two could have been completely dialed in. How are you guys establishing that plan for the few weeks after and now leading into full bore, or did you just keep going? I mean, how's that work with your physique?
Well, we definitely kept going. And yesterday, he took a look at me, and he was really shocked because he wasn't expecting me to look the way I looked. So right. We kind of we have another 7 weeks. Not saying that we want to slow things a little bit down, but at the rate I'm going right now, I don't want to burn myself out.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So I want to slow things down a little bit and focus on those body parts, like my lower back, get my abs much more defined and stuff like that. So I think if we could do that, everything will take care of itself.
Nice.
How does it feel? How long have you been a pro now? It's 2013 you got your card, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We were all at that show, weren't we?
Yes.
Yeah. It was awesome to see you win, man. As a pro over the last 7 years, working your way through all of this, and now you are at your biggest and your best. how do you feel looking back on all that work?
I mean, it's definitely a testament towards my, just being resilient and just not giving up, not quitting, And I would say one thing about me, every year I've improved, Every year I've brought something different. I've brought a better package and stuff like that. So I don't think this is my best yet. I think I have room to improve. And if I keep focused and keep working hard, I think, definitely I see myself in that mix for Mr. Olympia. Give me maybe another 2-3 years, give or take,
What? Well, go ahead, Dust.
I was going to say, I think one thing that's different for someone like you is when you turn pro, you were a pro. A lot of guys turn pro. It's like, okay, now give me 2 years so I can actually be in that mix. You were already there. And I feel like as a fan watching, I felt like in the beginning, the expectations for you were so high that even though you did great, I always felt like there was a reaction like, oh, we expected more. And I'm like, what the fuck do you want the guy to do?
Yeah, I mean, hadn't you only been training for 5 years at that point?
You definitely hit the nail on the head with that comment, Dusty. Definitely. I feel like sometimes I feel like in the past, I brought something really good and I would get no respect whatsoever.
Right.
But I think, things are changing and hopefully, coming this Olympia, people will start to, give me a little bit more respect.
I think, for me, truthfully, since you and Oscar got together, and I found that with a lot of guys, which I love, is when you find your coach, it becomes really obvious really quick. That's how I feel Max is right now with Milos. He's been with a lot of good coaches, and they brought a lot of good looks. But as soon as they connected, it was like, oh. And then when they did it the first time, I was like, maybe it was a good show. When they did it 2 and 3 times, I was like, okay, that's what you guys have as well.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, at least me, I'm looking, when I see your name on a list, I'm like, well, there's a guy who can win. Because it's not a question anymore of can he bring it all the way in. It's like, how good's it going to be? You know what I'm saying? So that's got to be a little better when like you said, because I don't disagree with you at all. As good as things are, I feel like you guys are just now you're rolling down the hill now. And it's going to get really crazy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What about looking back on the tough times? What's the closest you've ever come to saying, hey, fuck, I gotta do something else?
I would say after I got back from Kuwait. Right before I hooked up with Oscar. I went out to Kuwait with a lot of dreams, a lot of goals, a lot of things I wanted to accomplish. And my time out there, it was amazing. Don't get me wrong, it was an awesome experience, and I'm happy I got the chance to do something like that. But coming back to the U.S. and doing the New York Pro and placing 5th, which to a lot of people might be like, hey, you placed top 5 at the New York Pro. That's a big accomplishment. But to me, I went out to Kuwait, sacrificed almost 3 months of my life to come back to the New York Pro and win, And anything other than that was a failure to me. And that really put a damper on my spirit because, I went out there, no family, grinding for at least 4 months or whatever the case may be. And then to come back to the U.S. and compete against guys that were actually home with their family, enjoying life and placing 5th, that really destroyed me,
What was it? Yeah. What was it actually like over there? We hear stories about they take your phone away from you and it's just so funny. Some of the stuff that, you hear and someone cooks all your food for you. And what was your experience like?
It was nothing like that. It was nothing where, they take your phone away from you. Nah, man, we grown man, come on.
I know.
Right.
What I would say is, you definitely get to live that bodybuilding, any bodybuilder's dreams where, you just work out, eat, sleep, I know majority of bodybuilders, that's what they get into the sport for,
Yeah. Where would you stay at? How far are you from the gym?
Well, we had an apartment right next to the gym. So literally it was walking distance. So I'll just walk outside and the gym was right there. There's different locations, but the one that was closest to me was right outside, So it was very convenient,
Now this is something that because it's something I looked at back when Oscar and Kai kind of went with that whole training camp mentality and going to Vegas early. I think with bodybuilding for me, as much as you got to like be immersed in bodybuilding, I think that a lot of us are into our routine and our life, and not just our life of bodybuilding, but I guess what I'm saying is, did you feel like a little out of sorts when you got there because it was like this was the only thing you had, like you said, because you could bring your food and go see your family and keep things rolling. It just seems to me like that would be difficult. Like even in a perfect place, if you take me out of my comfort, it'd be hard to prep for a show for me. I mean, what was that like on the emotional side? It
was definitely an experience to adjust. I think the hardest part for me was the first 2 or 3 weeks. You know that homesickness kicks in, and you realize, what the hell am I doing out here? Of course I love to lift and I love to train, but eventually after a while we're only humans, and being in a strange place, even though they made you feel very comfortable, definitely I like shout out to the guys out in Oxygen, Bada, Abdullah, all those guys, they're amazing people. But as a human being, who is not too familiar with the culture,
right?
After a while, it does take a toll on you, and you really have to dig deep and realize you came out here for a purpose.
Right.
And you could keep your eyes on that goal, you definitely would succeed. Because you look at Brandon. He went out there, he kept his eyes on the prize, and now he's Mr. Olympia.
Right. Yeah, for sure.
You'd think that would be exactly it. It would work much better for certain personality types.
Yes.
And maybe does Brandon just thrive on it? Is it just?
I mean, I got a chance to hang out with him a little bit out there because he was actually my roommate while I was out there. And I think for him, he had a lot riding on the show,
Yeah.
Right.
His family and everything like that. So he just stayed focused, And if you could accomplish that, just stay focused and realize you're out here for a purpose, you'll make it happen.
Right. Yeah, no, I definitely see that because I've got a lot of friends that are fighters, and that's how they treat training camp. They intentionally pull you away from anything that is not going to pay the bills in 6 weeks. To the point that they almost don't want you too comfortable, because that kind of comfort can take your eye off the ball. You know what I mean? All the way down to it's different when you're more financially successful. Like when you're where you are, you're hungry right now because as good as you are, you're on the verge of, you can either have a good career or a Hall of Fame career. So that 4-hour drive gets a little easy when you've already decided that the Hall of Fame career is what you're looking for.
Very true.
You know what I mean? So yeah, I love because Ron had told me already when we were trying to set this up what your day looks like, and I was like, I don't think most people understand that kind of commitment, because it's not even a thought in your brain. It's like, oh, that's what it takes. Okay.
Yeah. Another thing about hearing that too, because I've been where you live, I've been to Jersey and been to New York. It's not 4 hours on the highway just cruising. It's 4 hours of New York fucking traffic. It's like fucking work. It's
it is, man.
Like you're a linebacker for 4 hours. Like you gotta your head's on a swivel. There's no just cruise control, listening to the music, fucking chilling out, eating while you're driving. I don't know.
I tell you one thing, doing those trips every week, and it's definitely helped with my patience a lot. In terms of, I've become I'm not gonna lie to you, I've become like a monk, man. Very few things get me upset now.
All the driving is your wax on, wax off. Karate Kid.
Yes.
That's all the discipline. Yeah.
Like sometimes, I'll be sitting in traffic and somebody cut me off, and I'm just like,
It's so funny.
He would be upset and want to scream and curse at somebody, and now he's just like, go ahead, man.
It's all good.
I hope that I never get to deal with enough traffic to be that patient, because anyone who knows me knows I can drive a car for 12 hours straight. No, and I'm just like, it's cool. You put me in traffic for 17 minutes.
Yeah.
I'm like, it shouldn't take 17 minutes to drive a quarter of a goddamn mile.
Monday, I went to go train chess, and I think I had 4 miles to go. And that was like a 45-minute drive for 4 miles.
The last 4 miles.
The last 4 miles. I'm almost there. 4 miles, and it was like 45 minutes.
I just can't even fathom. Yeah, Oscar's like, well, text me when you could see my door, because before that, it doesn't mean shit that you're 4 miles away.
If everything was normal, where would you be training?
Well, I mean, there's a few gyms around me. You know, I usually go to when I can. I'm like an hour and a half away from Bed Francis, so when I can, I try to make it out there. I also train at Diamond Gym, which is like about a 30-minute drive, but that's New Jersey driving, which is a lot easier. And also, there's a Retro that's right up the block for me. So I had my peak of gyms to go to, but
break that down for me. Let's say you train 6 times in a week. Mm-hmm. How many times would you drive to Bev's?
Maybe about once or twice, maybe.
Right, and then Diamond Gym, maybe most of the other ones.
Yeah.
And then you'd use the Retro to do cardio and look at girls' butts like Dusty does.
No,
never.
Dusty's got the fitness club scan in, right, so he can do cardio. Check out the scenery.
Gives me a reason to stay on the treadmill. That's all. I'm not over here trying to win, so come on now.
Yeah, you got to pass that time. What about cardio? Are you pounding it out your house? Like, do you have a stepper in your basement or something?
I actually, during this whole quarantine, I took the time to invest in a lot of cardio equipment, because I kind of foresee that, the gyms were going to be shut down, and just, in the past, it was just a headache waking up at 6 o'clock in the morning to get to the gym to do cardio and then coming back from that drive. So I invested in some cardio equipment. So if you look at my apartment right now, it's like I literally have like 5 machines in here.
Are you serious? I love it.
So you don't get bored. You just got to mix it up. Is that it?
Yeah, I just gotta mix it up. I got my TV right there. I get on my stepper or my Stairmaster, and I just put whatever on and just bang it out.
Yeah.
Saves me a trip driving and everything like that. So.
Yeah, I remember when we trained together at Diamond Gym for that Mutant on a Mission episode, and you were telling me, you'd only really been training for a short period of time.
Yeah.
Before you turned pro. So, weren't you going to university at the time?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you came off of some athletic background, though, right? Like, what were you doing? Give us that rundown.
I was playing basketball and stuff like that. So I have a basketball background, and then from basketball, I wanted to try something different because, basketball, I ain't going to make it to the NBA or anything like that. So that's how I kind of got into lifting. And one thing led to the next. I got introduced to one of Arnold's old training partner, Leon Brown, by his wife. And he was the one that really, introduced me to the whole bodybuilding scene. Even though he kind of, shoved it down my throat. Funny story about that. He took one look at me. His wife introduced him to me. I went to the gym. He took a look at me, and he's like, the next weekend, I think it was a Bill Grant Classic out in Pennsylvania. And I didn't know anything about dieting. I didn't know how to pose, anything like that. He's just like, let's do a show out in Pennsylvania. So literally, just shaved, got on stage. And that's how I started.
No way. How old were you then?
I had to be about 24, 25 at the time, yeah.
And you hadn't really been training.
No bodybuilding training whatsoever. Just from the basketball training and stuff like that,
So how what was your weightlifting background? What did they have you doing for basketball?
Man, we squats, a lot of squats, shoulder presses and stuff like that, a lot of core movements and stuff like that, but nothing to develop muscle, Yeah. The whole point is you don't want to be big,
Right. Yeah.
More fast and agile and stuff like that.
So he just saw the shape and kind of the structure, and he just saw something was there.
Yeah, well, at the time when I got into the whole training, one of my friends, good friend of mine, he was getting ready to go into the Marines. That's how I really started lifting. Because I would do my basketball training, but within the breaks of classes and stuff like that, I would go with one of my friends who was trying to get into the Marines, and we started lifting. And I mean, he knew about working out, so I would just do whatever he did. And within, I think maybe about 2 months, 3 months, he took one look at me and he's just like, part of my language is like, what the fuck? I'm like, what do you mean? And he's just like, dude, I'm in here busting my ass, trying to get bigger, trying to put on muscle, and you're just here clowning around, and you're twice the sizes, Believe it or not, he kind of, after a while, he just quit.
At what point did you, you're in the gym having fun, you're training, it's fun, it's part of, it's part of being an athlete. At what point did you go, I'm going to train fucking hard?
I would say until I met Dave Palumbo.
Okay.
Yeah. So I did those first couple of shows with Leon. I really didn't know what I was doing, but I would win, Right. I thought bodybuilding was easy because I didn't have to diet. All I did was basically just go to the gym, do some bullshit, get on stage, and I keep winning all the amateur shows that I competed in. It wasn't until I did my first Eastern USA, which was one of the biggest shows in New York, and I won the light heavyweight class. Then me and Dave hooked up, and Dave was just like, you know what? I think you kind of remind me of a Chris Cormier kind of look. I think you have what it takes to be, a great bodybuilder. I want to work with you. So I'm like, oh, sure, no problem. And we decided to do the Junior Nationals. It wasn't until then that I went into the Junior Nationals. I think I placed 4th or 3rd place or whatever. It was the same class that Justin Compton, Kevin Jordan, Lloyd Dollar, and somebody else.
Right. A pretty stacked heavyweight class.
Real deal class.
The majority of those guys turned pro.
Yeah.
But it wasn't until then that I started taking bodybuilding serious. Because I got there and I'm thinking it's just a walk in the park again. And then I see guys like Justin and Kevin Jordan. And I'm like, holy shit. Like, these guys are serious.
Right.
I held my own because I still placed top 5. But after that, I started taking it serious.
Yeah.
He's all, this is the last time I lose.
And do you remember when you started really stepping on it? And then, of course, you start seeing the results from what you're doing and you start thinking, holy shit, I got something special here?
Well, I mean, eventually after that, I got introduced to one of the great gyms in New York. I mean, it's closed right now, but it's a Synergy on 14th Street. That's the same gym that Juan Morel and John De La Rosa and all those guys trained at. And me and Juan became cool, and we started training and everything like that. And then they started looking at me like, holy shit, like this kid is fucking strong.
Right.
Like, everybody would stop and look at me when I squatted because they couldn't believe how effortless and how perfect my form was.
Right.
So that kind of relationship just led me into getting more serious about bodybuilding. Doing my research and trying to figure out what it takes to be a pro. And I think for the first time in my life, I kind of started setting goals. To the point where I was like, you know what? If I could go to nationals and place top 5 in a class, then I have a future of pursuing this whole bodybuilding thing. But if I can't do that, then there's no point.
Right.
So I was very realistic with myself. I set benchmarks. I'm like, you know what? If I do this USAs right now and I place top 5, then I know I can keep going.
Right.
But if you can't place top 5 in one of these shows, then you're just wasting your time, man.
How many pro qualifiers did you do before 2013 when you won?
I think I did 3.
Right.
Yeah. So I did the USA in 2012, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I placed 4th place.
Right.
But that show, I probably could have won that show. I probably could have got my pro card there. I mean, it's a funny story, but I kept putting on muscle very fast.
Right.
I remember at the time I was about 236. And I looked really good. But for some reason, Dave didn't want me to be in the heavyweight class. I mean, the super heavyweight class. He wanted me to be a heavyweight.
Right.
So, we did a whole bunch of stuff and looking really depleted. And I think we got down to about 227. And we realized we were not going to make the classes whatsoever. And we have to, go into super heavies. And I still was able to place top 5 in that.
Right. So you're almost 10 pounds too light.
Yeah, yeah.
Shit.
But I think if I had originally just stuck with the plan and going as a super heavyweight, I think I probably would have turned pro.
Right. And then you did, what did you do after that? 12. Did you go to USA's 13 then, or?
I think I went right to now. After that, I skipped. That's when Dallas turned pro.
Right.
At the North Americans. And I was going to do that show also. But Dave was just like, you know what? Let's skip that show and let's go to nationals. And I went to nationals and I tanked. I think I placed 7th or 8th or something like that. It was horrible, man. At that point, I was done. I redeemed myself, and I think I did the Easterns in New York when that hurricane hit, and I won the overall. And I'm like, all right, you're back on track. And then next year, I went straight to the North Americans, and I won.
Right.
Do you think you just got burned out that year? Is that all that happened?
Yeah, definitely got burned out.
Yeah.
I don't think people realize when you're earlier in your career, stretching, prepping is different than once you've been doing it for a few years. I remember the first year I did even just Junior Nationals and the USAs, it's only 6 weeks apart. And you're already in shape, so it's not like you're killing yourself. It was a long 6 weeks.
Yes.
And then later in your career, it's like 6 weeks is nothing. You could do another full 15 weeks and be fine. Yeah. But I remember like thinking this is going to be great, and then because you have a couple meals after your show, then your first day back in the gym you feel good. Then by the third day you're like, oh fuck. Yep. 5 more weeks of hell.
Yeah, the delusional idea that a day of rest is going to rejuvenate you for another 8 weeks.
Yeah, I had 3 cookies. I'm going to be fine.
Yeah.
Hey, what's going on, guys? Thanks for watching another podcast here at Think Big Bodybuilding Media. And thank you to our great sponsor, TrueNutrition.com, for making this all possible. TrueNutrition.com is owned by Dante Trudell, the creator of DC Training. He wanted to create a supplement company that offered high-quality, third-party tested supplements at a fair price. High-quality protein powders, just about every type you could think of. Huge variety of flavors, plus health and performance supplements. Check them out, TrueNutrition.com. And hey, if you use our code ADVICES, you directly support our podcasting. Thanks, guys. Let's get back to the program.
What do you say to younger guys? We always try to make sure we give a bit of a message to them too. The people that say they want to be freaks, and sometimes people don't they get what they wish for and they regret it. What do you think people don't know about what it takes to get where you are? They just don't realize it.
I mean, I would say my advice to anybody trying to get into bodybuilding and trying to, use this as a career is basically, if I could go back in the past and do it all over again, I would choose my shows more wisely. Like, compete with more of a strategy. And I think a lot of guys nowadays, they don't do that. They just jump in whatever shows. And this thing is, you're only as good as your last show.
True.
So, if you go to one show and you tank, that reputation follows you right away. Doesn't matter how you look. Doesn't matter what you bring the next time. People always look at you like the guy that doesn't come in shape. So if I could go back in the past, I would say I would pick my show, definitely with more strategy involved, and knowing that if I pick a show, I have a 95 or 98% chance of winning.
Right.
And I think like a lot of these, up and coming bodybuilders now, you just do shows because somebody tell them like, hey, you're in shape, jump into that show.
Right.
If you want to have an impact in the sport, you definitely have to strategize, where you want to see your career going and stuff like that.
Do you find that guys, and I'm angling this on purpose because I do, find guys don't want the truth? Because I'll have guys that say to me, they'll shoot me pictures and they're like, hey, I'm thinking about doing nationals. I'm like, don't. And then they're mad at you. And I'm like,
yes. I mean, nobody wants to hear, oh, you're not in shape, or like everybody wants to be praised, especially in a sport where it's, it's very one dimensional. Meaning like, it's all about you, the focus is on you and everything like that. And when you put that in a person's head that's trying to be the best, they would never, accept any type of criticism or anything like that, They would always want people to put them on a pedestal and tell them they're the best.
Right.
But if you want to succeed and if you want to do great in this sport, you have to be willing to come into the sport with an open mind. Don't ever act like you know it all. Otherwise, right there and then, you might as well just quit.
Right.
Because you would never grow. You would never improve.
What advice do you have to people? As long as I've known you, you've always had a sponsor. I've always kept my eye on you. When I used to work at Mutant, I always kept my eye on you because I thought you would just be such a perfect fucking fit if I could ever get you on the team, I remember your name coming up at many meetings. I'd throw your name out, and you were always a guy that I thought, was suitable for a hardcore brand, and you've always had an endorsement deal, even in tough times. So what do you think is your advice to young guys? Everyone wants a sponsor now.
I mean, just be yourself, man. Be genuine, and just don't be fake. I'm sure these, whoever the supplement companies, whether it's MHP, Blackstone Labs, whatever, they see you for who you are and what you could bring to the table.
Mm-hmm.
You have to be willing to, be able to work. There are times when, a sponsor might message me and like, hey, Akim, we need you to do this. A lot of guys, I've seen it before with my own eyes. They'll be like, nah, I'm too tired, or nah, I don't want to do this. Me, I've always looked at it as an opportunity to get a better relationship with the company that I represent,
Right.
And a lot of people are not willing to do that,
Yeah. Do you feel, I don't know, some people have the philosophy like, I have no balance. Mm-hmm. And then other people feel like, balance is important. And what's your take on that, and what do you do to stay balanced? I
mean, before I answer that question, I would go back to what I mentioned earlier. I remember a few times, even last year at the Olympia, I got off stage, and of course, after prejudging, of course, I was exhausted. Mm-hmm. And a few of those pros, we walking through the crowd, and people would come up to you and ask you for pictures, and they would just shoo them away. And me, I'm so happy. Like, even though I'm tired or whatever, I'm still stopping and I'm taking like pictures and stuff like that. And people remember stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Like word travels, just because, you're in the public, you should be honored that somebody, look up to you and somebody want to come up to you and ask you to take a photo because you inspired them and stuff like that. So I would never turn anybody away.
Right.
It doesn't matter how tired or, stressed out I might be, you just got to be a genuine person. And I think that shines on your character, and it will take you a long way. As far as trying to be, get sponsored and stuff like that.
Yeah. Always keeping in mind that it's a privilege to be in that position.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, that ties in well with asking, how you keep grounded. Yeah. Just remembering that you're in a position that, it's, you gotta, remember a lot of people want to be there. What else do you do in your mental space to sort of keep yourself, on top of your game?
I'm into cars a lot.
Oh, okay.
So, if I'm not bodybuilding or anything like that, I think that's one of the ways I kind of take a little break from bodybuilding sometimes. At one point, I think every time in the past, and I buy like clunkers and stuff like that. I'm not rich, so I can't go out there and buy no expensive car. So I go on Facebook Marketplace, buy a little fixer upper, and get one of my buddies. We work on it and fix it up and stuff like that. So at one point, I think it was like 2017, 2018. I was buying a cheap car every prep.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, it got really bad. My girlfriend at the time, she was just like, what the hell? Every time you prep, you buying a car.
I love that we found this gem.
It wasn't expensive cars, it was cheap cars.
Are you just fixing them up and flipping them, or what are you doing?
Something like that. And sometimes I made some money. Sometimes I lost some money. I bought which I should have kept. I bought a '89 Mustang, Fox body Mustang.
Uh-huh.
And I spent some money on it, fix it up and stuff like that. And then I started realizing what it took to own a car like that, because it doesn't matter what you do. Every time you get in that car, something breaks.
Right. Oh yeah.
So I'm like, what? This thing is becoming a money pit, so I actually made a loss on that one.
Right.
But then another time I bought one of those little Acura RSX, and I made some money from that one. I was able to, fix that up and flip it and make some monies. But, it's just a little passion of mine,
I love that, though, because it gives you somewhere to focus. Because I would look at that. I mean, everyone thinks that everything has to be about flipping for money or this or that, but it's like, if anything, that's putting your mind somewhere.
Yes.
And it's if you quote lost a little money, it's some entertainment value. Like you were doing shit that was not lifting weights for hours a night. So I totally get that, especially as a guy who, if my car broke down, I wouldn't even bother opening the hood. I'm like, I don't know what's under there. I'm gonna call a real man to come fix this. And
we always joke that Dusty's toolbox is a check and a pen.
I can fix anything. I can fix anything with my toolbox.
When we trained at Diamond Gym, you were driving that little convertible Mercedes, weren't you?
Yes.
Yeah. Was that a flip too?
Yeah, actually, That one I actually took a loss on, man. That was a horrible deal, man. But that car cost me so much headache, man.
I like that car. I like that car. When I saw it,
it was a nice car. It's the SL 500.
Oh yeah,
I love the car, but it was man. The dealer at the time, he really screwed me on that deal. So I lost some money on that one.
So that was a lesson. That one.
Yeah, that was definitely a lesson. That one was maybe you should stick with cheaper cars.
Yeah. Now, what about getting away? Like, what's your idea of just totally getting away from it all?
My background is Caribbean, so if I ever, decide to go for vacation, my mom lives in Grenada, so that my go-to whenever I decide to, go on vacation, because it's cheap. I don't have to pay for a hotel or anything like that, And I go down there, she treats me like a king.
That's awesome.
Do you train when you're down there?
Nah. I just relax. Nah. The last time I was down there, there was a few guys that would come around and they wanted me, they was all on. They wanted me to take me to the gym and stuff like that, but I keep turning them off.
Not what you're there for.
No, exactly.
That's awesome.
What's a flight? How long is a flight to Grenada? Is it direct? Like you just go New York?
Yeah, from New York, it's about 5 hours.
Oh, okay.
So it's not that bad. 5-6 hours, not that bad.
Oh, okay. What's your plan for Vegas when you're done the Olympia? Just go Christmas with the family or what?
Well, with this whole virus situation going on, the country is still in lockdown, so yeah, you ain't getting in there anytime soon.
No.
Yeah, they're still in lockdown.
Sorry. Well, like, what do you mean you're not gonna be able to see like any of your family? You mean?
Yeah.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, they're not letting anybody in.
Oh, okay. Man, what about you, Dusty? What's your plan for Christmas?
My plan's always the same. I stay in my house with my dogs. I'm going to go to Walmart, spend a good $26 buying toys, and I'm going to call it a day.
There you go. I know it's going to be weird not going anywhere this year because I'm not going to see anybody either. We're just kind of on a lay low. But I didn't know if maybe all your family was just like blocks away from where you live or if you saw them on the regular. I didn't know what your situation was. Where exactly are you?
Me?
Yeah.
I'm staying in New Jersey.
Yeah, what's the neighborhood called?
That's Clifton, New Jersey.
Clifton. Okay, cool. Dusty, you had a few questions off Instagram?
Yeah, I always get a million questions, especially with these.
I just realized we're hitting the hour mark here.
Yeah, we're already almost there, and we haven't asked a single question, which gets us in trouble. I hate when I do that. We'll do a whole show and forget to get into the question. Oh, shit, I got a lot of them too. Okay, a few things. We'll do some rapid fire to catch up here. So, Akim, when you're bulking, do you lower your calories on non-training days, or do you just blast all the way through?
I think I would say blast all the way through. If I'm not training, I'll blast all the way through because I feel like, you consume enough calories when you get back to the gym. You're actually stronger. You feel better and stuff like that, even on your off days.
Right.
That's the way through.
And do you track your lifts or do you just train hard?
In the beginning, when I first started lifting, I did.
Mm-hmm.
But now I feel I'm at a point where, if I feel good that day and I want to push myself, I would.
Right.
I think sometimes you get that notion where you track yourself and you try to, match the previous lift, and that's how a lot of guys get injured.
Right.
If you don't feel 100%, doesn't mean you need to go squat 600 pounds like you did last week.
Right.
You might want to go down to like 315 and just do reps. Until you're not feeling 100% again.
Yeah, because I've seen footage of you. I mean, obviously everyone knows that you're super fucking strong, but I've seen footage of you training with all different kinds of weights, and you just feel that that's like just being a pro and having the maturity to just know what days are what.
I think so, and I think I got to the point in my career where I don't really have anything to prove anymore, man.
Mm-hmm.
You want to be stronger than me. You want to lift 600 pounds. I don't have anything to prove. So right now I'm just doing it just to keep making improvements and keep getting better as a professional bodybuilder. I don't really care about I could squat 600 pounds or I could deadlift 700 pounds anymore. I think those days are done for me.
Right. Yeah. Well, I mean, I think too, and this is my 2 cents on. You built your base doing that.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not like no one's ever said, man, if Akim Willians could just get a little bigger. Like, it's refinement now for you.
Exactly,
I mean, getting everything a little better, and we don't even know if the scale will be up or down when that happens. It's just going to be a better look.
Exactly.
I find that you run into that with people that are looking up to you, because different stages of your career is different things. I have people that will hammer me because I'm a big believer in getting big in the off season, and they're like, well, you're not heavy. I'm like, well, I'm not trying to get as big as possible anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, that's not the only thing I think about every day like it used to be.
You get to that point where, it's just like, there's no point, you don't have anything to prove anymore.
Right. Well, I always think that bigger's not always better. Like, a guy like you could get bigger, but I don't know that your placings would improve if you were bigger.
Exactly.
So, this will be a good one for you, because I'm curious how much of an eater you are. What do you think's the highest amount of calories you've consumed during a bulk?
Not me. I'm horrible when it comes to eating, man.
Oh, it's even better. He's that big and he doesn't eat.
I doesn't. It's bad. I mean,
appetite? Just low appetite?
Just low appetite. I did a video for Muscle and Strength leading up to the previous Arnold that just passed. This was a day of eating, basically. So they came to my house, and the camera guy, he was actually shocked. He couldn't believe
how little you were eating.
How little I eat, yeah. He couldn't believe it. He was expecting some monster, pounding out thousands of calories and stuff like that, and he's just like, what the hell, bro?
So this
video
sucks.
He's like, I don't know how well this video is going to do, because you really don't eat that much.
Akim's 4,000 calorie challenge.
Yeah, exactly.
What is it like? What's it like? Is it like 8 ounces of steak and a cup of rice? Is that like a meal?
Man, it was like more like 5 ounces, 6 ounces, man.
Oh, wow.
He's on a figure girl diet, and he's this big.
Basically.
I'm trying my best to still like you, Akim. I'm trying.
That's how you get the glutes in. That's how you get the glutes in. You got to suffer.
Oh, my God. That's awesome. Okay, here we go. If you could compete in any era besides this one, what would it be?
Oh, wow. I think I would fit really well in the Mass Monster era with Ronnie Coleman and them.
Right.
I think that would be a great, because sometimes I feel like I'm the odd person out, especially when I was a little bit bigger. I remember 2016, after I placed in 5th in New York, I went to California and did that show. And literally I was like the oddball. Like everybody, the guy that won, he probably was 215 pounds.
Right.
I'm pushing like 265, 270. And
how tall are you?
I'm about 5'10".
Yeah.
I literally just stood out like a sore thumb. I think that's why, and I placed top 5 in that show, but I think that's why I didn't do that well. I was just an odd person in,
Right. Yeah, no, I totally see how those happen, because it's like you're too good to not be in the top 5, but you don't really line up with what we've got here.
Exactly, yeah.
So no, that makes perfect sense. Plus, I'd like to see you next to Marcus Rule anyway.
Yeah. I always ask people this, but I don't know. I don't know what your answer is going to be. But Dusty and I have talked about it. Do you remember like the first time you got freaked out by something awesome, like in bodybuilding, like seeing Ronnie Coleman for the first time, or do you remember anything that freaked you out? It kind of turned a light switch, and you're like, wow.
I would say 2000. I think it was 2010 when I did my second amateur show, when I won the light heavyweight at the Eastern USA's. Kevin English was the guest host at that show, and I remember he came backstage and he was actually talking to me, and I'm like, you had that out of body experience, like somebody's talking to you, but they're talking, but you're not like really paying attention because you're still like in. Like, you can't believe like a human being actually look like that.
Right.
I'm talking about this guy off season. He's maybe like 5'4", 5'5".
Right.
And he probably was at least like 260. So
yeah.
Can you imagine?
Yeah. Kevin was blown out huge back in the day.
Yeah.
He was the odd man out, but he was so odd man out that it was just everybody got to watch him win.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
Just sitting back there looking at this guy that's barely 5'5" or whatever, and being like 265 or whatever it was, I was just like, how the hell is that possible?
That's absolutely nuts. Sorry, I got a few of them. I'm trying to get some good ones we can lock in here. Go ahead, Rob.
What was your most disappointing pro show?
It's between 2016 New York Pro and my first experience in 2014 at the New York Pro. It's always been the New York Pro. Because to me, for guys that grew up in New York and bodybuilders in New York, this is like our Mr Olympia.
Right. Yeah,
we always want to defend the title. We always want to keep the title in New York.
Yeah, the home game.
That New York pride,
For sure.
Yeah.
Sorry. Okay, here's one. Are there any common bodybuilding exercises that you feel just don't work for you that everyone else kind of does, and you're like, that's shit for me?
That's a good one, man. Wow. That's a really good one. I don't know. I never really thought about that one. That's a really good question.
Oh, damn it.
That's a really good question. Now you got me thinking. Really don't work for me.
Because we both had exercises we threw away because of injuries or stuff too as well,
Yeah.
I'm done with that.
I probably would say maybe flat bench.
Right.
Definitely, I would say flat bench. I find myself more and more moving away from that movement.
Right.
It's something that I don't really do anymore.
Yeah, I find that's one of those ones that a lot of people, especially someone like you that's so strong, it's an injury waiting to happen and a muscle you can develop 100 other ways safely.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. And I've never looked at your physique, Akim, and thought, that guy needs more flat bench. It just never happened.
That's freaking classic. So we do have to ask the one question that we pretty much ask everyone that comes in here. What do you think in your life, and it could be anything, makes the amount of effort and the amount of consistency so easy for you with bodybuilding? Because a lot of people, it's in and out, or they're fair weather, but you're a bodybuilder 24/7, 365. What is it of your upbringing you think that made that click, or what about you that just makes that it's just what you have to do?
I think I've always been a person that like to finish what he started.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's bodybuilding, whether it's sports, whether it's I've always have that mindset that if I put my mind to something and I start something, I want to see it through to the end. Right. I don't want to look back, 10, 15 years from now, whatever the case may be, and look back at my life and be like, what if?
Right.
What if I had stuck with this, or what if I, had continued going with bodybuilding? Where would I have ended up? Right. So I put myself in a position where, luckily, thank God for all the opportunities that I've been given, where I'm able to do this sport full time and, make a little bit of money out of it and keep getting sponsored and stuff like that. So I want to take it as far as I can go. And who knows, maybe make it all the way to the top. But at the end of the day, I don't want to have any regrets, basically saying that, what if, or if I had stuck with it, would I have been successful?
Right.
Who would be your favorite Mr. Olympia?
Oh, man. Can I have two?
Well, he's doing a tie. Okay, you got to tell us why for both of them.
It's definitely a tie for me. Of course, I would say Ronnie Coleman, but somebody that I've really, tried to, as of lately, pattern my career after would be Dexter Jackson. Mm-hmm. I think he's just a true champion. For been doing it as long as he has, and all the success that he has. I think like any up-and-coming bodybuilder, they should definitely use him as a reference as to how to accomplish longevity in this sport and still do it and make an impact in it. Doesn't matter what age you are. So I would say more so Ronnie Coleman. I would say Dexter Jackson.
Nice. What's the best advice you've ever gotten from a veteran competitor who was before you?
I've gotten a lot of advice from Dexter. I've gotten some advice from Cedric. I mean, funny story is 2016, my first trip to the Mr. Olympia. Cedric, he pulled me aside and he gave me some really good advice, and I've always appreciated that, you know, because it allowed me to kind of change my mentality. Like, I don't know if you notice, a lot of bodybuilders, whenever they go to a show and they don't do as well as they hope they would do, it leaves a very negative impact on them. And some of them, it takes months, even years to get over that hurdle.
Right.
And Cedric gave me some really good advice, and it helped me through my career to basically, whatever happens at the show, stays at the show. Don't take it home with you.
Right.
You know, it doesn't matter, you know, win, lose, draw, whatever. Stays at the show. Don't ever take it home with you, because there's nothing you can change about it. You know, you can't go back and say, what if I had done this or what if I had done that? You know, You show up, you do your best, and you leave it at the show.
That's actually awesome advice.
Allowed me to stay very mentally healthy, you know, when it comes to competing and accepting my wins and losses. Think about it. Last year, I had about 4 second places.
Right. Yeah.
You know, I went from Brazil, I went from Spain, I went to New York, you know, and they were all second places back to back to back. And anybody else would be like, you know, break down and be like, what the hell does I have to do to get in that circle? But, you know, I was able to keep that fire going and go to the Olympia and crack the top 10, you know, even though I didn't win a show to get to the Olympia. You know, I won points, and I still made it to the top 10. So, like I said, you know, just whatever happens at the show, don't take it home with you, man. Just leave it at the show.
Yeah, that's great advice for amateurs too, because we all get that where, you know, and I hate when people put that up on the internet anyways, like, this is me and the other guy. It's like, well, I know what you want us to say.
Yeah.
And even if you were wrongfully placed, okay, so?
Yeah, I would never do that neither. Like, I would never post comparison pictures or anything like that. No. You know, I feel like if that has to happen, let somebody that's a fan or somebody, you know, do stuff like that. You, as a competitor, you shouldn't go down that road and do stuff like that, you know?
Right. What's your favorite Olympia memory so far from the ones you've competed in?
I would say last year, just getting that second call out at the Olympia. You know, actually being in that same call. I think I remember I was in the same call out with Steve Kluklo, Cedric. I think Dexter was also in that same call out also.
Right.
So being in that call out was just freaking awesome, man.
You felt, you
feel that sense of accomplishment, you know.
Yeah.
Like, hard work has actually paid off.
Well, yeah, you're arrived, and I mean, you've always known, but you're now one of those guys. I mean, no one is reacting when you're saying like, oh, I want to be in the first call out. It's like, well, yeah, that's completely logical.
Yeah.
You know, so that's got to be a great place from somebody who's looking to qualify and knowing that, yeah, but you're in the mix. I mean, like you said, that year or last year, you beat a lot of guys who did win to qualify.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
You know, that's awesome.
Well, it doesn't matter how you get there.
I think you know, like a lot of guys think, you know, they have to win a show to get noticed at the Olympia. I think last year I actually proved to them that no, you know, it doesn't matter how you get there, as long as you work your ass off and you bring what you need to bring. You know, you're gonna get your shot. You know.
Yeah, for sure, man. So what's the plan tomorrow? Give us a rundown. What time do you get up in the morning and hit the highway?
Tomorrow is my favorite day of the week, leg day.
Nice.
No, I'm joking. It's worth it. I hate that shit. And I know Oscar's about to kill me tomorrow. But you know, get up like around 6:30, do some abs, do some cardio, and then, you know, eat like at least like 2 meals, and then head to the city right after that.
Smash
legs. You blast it out and you just eat a meal and come straight back?
Yeah, basically, yeah.
That's a day, man.
It is. It's actually like a whole day. Like, you go to the city and back, it literally takes up the whole day.
So what time will you leave the house, and what time would you get home?
Well, usually, you know, Oscar would text me in the morning, and we'll come up with a schedule, whether he wants me there for 1:30 or 2 o'clock. It all depends on when he texts me. So if I'm leaving and trying to get it for 1:30, I would probably leave at like around 11. You know.
And then what time you get home?
What time?
It depends if we start right away or if he wants to give me some mental exercises. So I would probably get back home like around like 6:30.
Oh, yeah.
Right away, the day's already over, you know.
Yeah, for sure, man. Well, we appreciate your time, especially on election night, just chilling out with us. And it's good to have you on. We really wish you well at the Olympia. Like you're one of the hardcore freaks, man, and you're always welcome on this show. You want to come on and have anything to say, Akim Williams is welcome. So how can people get you? Just your Instagram is the Beast, right? What is it?
Yeah. BK Akim Williams BK Beast on Instagram. They can definitely reach out on me. I always check my DMs, and I actually have a few that I respond to. Somebody sent me a really nice message. Her and her husband, they wanted to go out to the Olympia, but she recently got pregnant, and they had to cancel the whole trip. So she wanted me to do something nice. So I'm thinking about signing some photos and sending it out to him. So that's one to-do list that I have to do.
Yeah, cool, man.
You definitely can, if you have any questions or whatever, you definitely DM me, and once I see the message, I always respond.
Okay. Thanks, brother. We appreciate it.
You're welcome. Definitely. Thanks, guys, for having me on, man.
Take care in Jersey.
Good luck, boss.
Thank you.
Okay. See ya.
Bye.
Good dude.
Absolutely. I'm always like, I enjoy having different conversations because everyone's experience, like I said, is different on their way to the top. Like if you kind of squeaked into the pros, then anything you do is an accomplishment. And if you're like him, the expectation is so high that no matter what you do, it doesn't seem like it's enough.
Yeah. I totally felt it when he said that he, how did he put it about being like disrespected? Like he could show up looking pretty fucking good and people just be like, meh.
Yep.
And I remember thinking that was weird. And then I remember seeing him in person when he won the Tampa.
Right.
And I was like, oh my God. And then that year at the Olympia, no one was talking about him.
Yep.
And I was like, I saw this guy at the Tampa and he's fucking nuts.
Yeah. There's definitely no one that stands next to Akim and makes him not look crazy.
No, it's the next level. So, last year obviously wasn't a surprise. And I'm really happy for him that he's going back. What are your plans for this evening, Dusty? Are you turning on the TV and watching the rest of the election or what?
Oh yeah. No, I'll be watching the rest of the election. I'll be hoping that we actually find out tonight, so we can. I'm hoping I get my news I want, and then I'm also hoping I put in my rearview mirror and call it a day. But I got a hot date with these two dogs at the dog park first because they're a little pissed I missed their 6:00 showing.
Yes. Okay. Well, go make them happy.
No doubt. We'll catch up next week in a couple days.
Yeah. So remember, share, subscribe, comment, hit the bell. Thanks for everything, everybody. Remember, it's just bodybuilding.